the issue is we were a leader here and we are also leader in many parts of the world, and how does our industry, what is the kind of direction the industry is going to take place, and you will see that. And it's not just that, because it's about collaboration. I mean, you have to, for our industry to be successful, we have several stakeholders. One of this could be competitors, but really customers and extended customers. How do we really work with them closely? How do we find that the direction in which this trend is taking place? So for instance, one of the things that today we are really evaluating is solar. We have a huge set of products and technologies in solar, and the solar today in India, you can go as thermal solar, I think, which I think there are professors here who can write books on that. I don't want to get into it. You have concentrated thermal solar, parabolic, or flat mirrors. Then you have photovoltaic. In photovoltaic, you have thin films and you have the old crystalline CSI, crystalline silicon. Now, if we have to look at the next 10 years investments, we actually have to decide which way the world will take. And I can tell you one thing, several paths are equally probable. We actually don't know which one will come. You know, it's in a sense, it's a path dependent variable. We don't know if the early technologies move towards CSP and CSP proves to be successful, then you will find everybody investing in CSP. Whereas if you really do the other way, for instance, everybody recognizes that CSP has got certain limits. The cost that will drop in CHC is not asymptotic. It's the photovoltaics which are going to be driving, that's one. So therefore, we have to take views on that. And I think it's an important part of our job is to really take the view on which way the customers and the technologies will drive. And I think really that's a very, very important thing. The second part is, having understood this view, you have to sell this view. If you're a leader, you really have to influence others to accept this point of view. If a large number of people don't accept this point of view, you will find that there's no critical mass. So I think, so a lot of my job is really selling and in persuading and influencing, selling rather inefficiently currently looking at my month's results. But I think that's this month's problem. So, but I'm saying in a larger sense, we have to persuade and influence. A lot of people say this is the way, including professors, saying that look, this is the way the technology is going to go. You have to really make those investments in these technologies, and if a large number of IITs and professors invest in that. So that's one. The second one is really, when you do that, you really have to create a platform for people to come together. The platform is all about standards, protocols, and things like that. There are enough platforms, you know, we know the platforms in the PCs, before that we know the platforms in the video, now the platform which is being fought out in many areas. So we know all of that. So therefore, the platform is really getting a lot of people to agree. There is a common standard, common protocol, common ways of working together. And I think the part of the reason why the Android operating system for the telecom, it's just 4 years. It has 68% of the market share is because Google made a common platform. They realized that they have to create a platform. In 2008, Nokia was an unbelievable number one. It could do nothing wrong. 4 years now, Nokia is running out of cash. It's all because the Android put together a platform. And then the last is the most important thing for a company like us, or for that matter larger companies like Google and others, is really, if this is the view, you get a lot of people to agree, but you also have to, you're creating platforms for collaboration, but you also put hard assets on the table. In the case of Google, it will be assets like the tools and the things. In the case of Apple, it will be iTunes and the iPad as one device which brings everything together. Amazon is another great example where they really changed the whole world of distribution. Amazon is not a technology company, it's a distributor. I mean, it's a distributor. They've just changed the phase of distribution. So therefore, that's really the most important thing. So therefore, there are three things, just remember. What is the view that we have to take of the future? That's probable view. How do you sell that? How do you create a platform where people can come together? And how do we make sure that we put in hard assets so that people treat you, that there's a credibility. So basically, there are 4 roles that companies like us can play. One is, can we shape this whole ecosystem? Can we influence it? That means you come early into the game. Can we hedge our bets? Like for instance, right now, we know we can't influence the way solar, we can influence the way solar develops in India, but we're hedging our bets. We are in CSP, parabolic mirrors, we are in CSP in flat mirrors, we are in PV in crystalline silica, we are in PV in thin films. We actually don't make money in any one of this, but we are in all of this because we put our heads together in this. So this is the thing. Then of course you can be a follower, okay. So I just want to, so this is, all of you know about Apple, I don't want to talk about it. Really, I think, I mean, we don't realize that in just 2 years the iPad was invented. In just 5 years the iPhone was invented. I mean, it's what an extra, I mean, today when we look at an iPad, we think that what were we doing before that? I mean, how many of you have an iPad? I suppose reasonable number. Okay, I think if you don't have, I think you should try and cut down some of your expenses and buy one. Okay, don't go to your parents for that. But I'm saying it's an extraordinary liberator. You know, it just liberates you. Okay, and really, and I think at that point in time, and Apple, even though it's a closed ecosystem, I think they realized that this whole apps platform and then the internet was a platform which is available. There was enough entertainment and communication platform which are common, but they really put this iTunes and iStore. I mean, the iPad and the iPhone are hardware devices, but it's really the iTunes and the iStore and the apps platform that they created, which is really credible. Today we have, well, I don't know, I was told some 6 million apps are there, and every day it's adding up by thousands. But I just want to go into this. This is a very interesting early stage shaping. There was a study of all the major innovation that have taken place in the world. You know, you'd be surprised, in the top 10 innovations, containerization comes in most people's idea of what is the most innovative transformation that have taken place in the world. Containerization comes in, because without the containers, I don't think, without containerization, the world trade would not have grown. Just imagine those days when you're shipping products. I think you really have to find packages, you're putting into the hold, you don't know whether it's going to, when it's going to reach. So Edwin Land was the thing. He really, what he did is very simple. He invented the containers, locks, and the key mechanism. He realized that he can't get the whole world to adopt it easily if he has to do it by himself, because for you to have the containers, you have to have a whole set of mechanisms. You need to be able to make containers, you need to be able to have a way of unloading it at, and you need to be there's a lot of ecosystem which has to develop. What he did is he gave the patent, he gave it to the International Standards Organization, and the International Standard Organization adopted it in the early 60s, and today the world moves because you have a container system. If you don't have a container system, I don't think any one thing is possible. I mean, we don't realize it, how much a very mundane breakthrough, an idea like a containerization is there. So therefore, this is one of the most important thing. I want to get into this. So when we looked at it, we were a market leader, we were doing pretty well, we had a very large presence, we were evolving quite nicely, but we were also wondering what's going to happen, what are the ways in which there are several trends that are taking place. How can we profit from those trends? How can we influence it? That was really the thought process. So we did some interesting exercise. Okay, so basically, what we were wondering is that we realized that we had to shape our ecosystem. We realized that we are hitting a roadblock, taking our business beyond a certain growth rate, because in some businesses we had as high as 60% or 70% market share. So we realized that. So we looked at ourselves saying that what ways the consumer is moving in the glass, as directly consuming glass or indirectly like in the solar, or in many ways, what are the ways in which. Then we discovered in each of these, what role do we want to play. In some we have to probably be influencers, some we have to be a disciple, some we have to be. And then we looked at what are we good at, what can we leverage, and how do we build assets in this, and what platforms and other things that we have to create. So I think some of the ideas, many of them are work in process, so I'm just going to take you through that. So what we did was, it was also the time, you remember that Interplanetary or Climate Change Commission, IPCC, I don't know whether that's right. I think 2008 was when this, I think the founder of Terry, I think he won the Nobel, one of the Nobel Prize was won by this IPCC committee. They came up with a climate change report. Remember, even in 2008 there were many skeptics, and today climate change is a reality. Everybody is saying that, who can profit from the climate change? The talk is not about whether climate change is real or not. I think that was one of the big issues, and today climate change is a real serious issue, and regrettably the country which has the worst possible impact on climate change is India. Okay, I think the countries which are north, closer to Arctic, are going to be extraordinarily benefited by this. Milder climates, a significantly improvement in agriculture, but we're going to have, I think India is going to have a lot of difficulties on account of climate change. I think that's at least the predictions are showing. So we really looked at it, and we were part of this. So the Energy Research Institute, I think it is Terry, they conducted and I think the alumnus is from IIT Madras, right? She that was worked in your department, no? Yeah, Millie Mazumdar. She's an alumnus, I think 89 or something like that, right? 89, 90, I think masters, or I don't know whether it's a MS, okay? Millie Mazumdar and a whole lot of team, and they conducted a fairly interesting, what we call as a large scale brainstorming session. So it involved very large number of people talking about their ideas of the future. So she put that together and say, what are the changes that are driving, what are the fundamental forces that are driving change in India? It may be also true for most of the things. So it was, so we actually participated in that. We found that exercise very, very interesting. It's like really, 400-500 people from multiple disciplines, very interested people, some scientists, some bureaucrats, some company people, sales and marketing professionals who understand customers and who are dealing with that. So we spent a lot of time. We looked at what are the kind of futures and things like that. So we spent some time, what can we learn from others? So the first thing, and by the way, these are actual, I mean, what I have put is those what people put on the, you have a place like this and everybody, brainstorms, puts their ideas and things like that. I've just put that all together. So that in India at least, there are, I don't know, at the time when we said 500,000 graduates. I mean, I don't want to say engineers because I'm not so sure about that, but 500,000 people are graduating out of colleges which are allowed to award a degree in engineering. Okay, so whatever it is, okay, I'm not including our institutes, okay, I'm saying there are 500,000, and I believe now it's about 800,000. That means 800,000 engineers India is graduating. I mean, so-called engineers and things like that. By the way, I have to tell you a little bit of story about engineering college in Tamil Nadu. I think it's a very, I had a guy from Salem. He was our transport contractor. Okay, he grew with our company and he wears a dhoti and is very, very one of the best services, both quality and cost. That he was a transport contractor, and in a very short time, thanks to association with us and a few other companies, he became very, very rich. So one day he came and said that, sir, I'm diversifying.